Hello, this is Nicholas Tanek, dear kinky friends, and oh my God, do I have a wonderful guest with me tonight on this Friday, the 4th, 2021, straight from Sanctuary LAX. You know the people at Sanctuary LAX, they're awesome. Shout out to everybody there. I deal with a lot, and I talk a lot with professional dominatrixes and stuff. This person, this is a switch. So we're going to talk about being a switch, but she's also a submissive. And we're definitely going to get into that. That's something, we've interviewed some people already, but I want to get into that definitely. So we're going to talk about being submissive. We're going to talk about impact play. We're going to talk about sanctuary. We're going to talk about being a trans girl and something interesting. We're going to talk about being a fox. And please welcome the absolutely magnificent submissive Sarah. Say hi.
Hi, it's Savannah, not Sarah.
Savannah, I'm sorry. Oh my God, that was an idiot. Yeah, submissive Savannah, like Georgia.
Like Georgia, like the tall cat.
Yeah. So yeah, please forgive me on that. That just came out. I knew it says Savannah and everything. I just said it. You know why? Because my friend Sarah literally called me 10 minutes right before this. So okay, let's just get into it.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, so everyone's got their specialties,
Yeah.
How would you describe your specialties as a kinky person?
As a kinky person, I would describe my specialty as like very nurturant, whether that takes the form of being like a nurturant caregiver who makes sure their partner's taking their medication, brushing their teeth, and having enough to eat and drink every day, or being like a very nurturant submissive partner and making sure that my house is clean and that dinner's ready for like whoever I'm taking care of and XYZ. I think it's all about taking care of another person, whether that's a submissive or dominant act in itself.
That's interesting. And like I said, I was telling you off mic that, or off camera, that I was having some health problems, and when you're taking care of somebody who's sick, sometimes it's not always easy, like there's attitudes. And so how do you deal with that?
Well, I also deal fairly well with brat taming. So dealing with someone who's cranky it's always going to be a little bit difficult, but they're not really mad at you. They're mad at the situation. And it's all about compartmentalizing. At the end of the day, they're going to be infinitely more thankful that you were there for them than the small flash of anger they felt because they were sick. They would have felt that way regardless if you were there or not, but they wouldn't feel as good as they feel now if you weren't there.
That's a good way to put it. Okay. So you do this professionally as well, correct?
I do, yes.
So what was your very first session like? First of all, your very first session, was it you as a dominant or you as a submissive?
Well, that's the funny thing, was I thought I was there to be the submissive, but then we got into our playroom and he like drops his pants and he's like, okay, I'm ready. And I was just like, oh, I did not plan for this. I was not mentally prepared for that. Like all day I've been thinking like I'm the one who's gonna get hit, and I just did not. I did a good job. I think I did well to act on the fly, but it was just a surprise for me to suddenly shift gears.
Okay, so when starting out, what would you say? Everybody makes mistakes, right? Whether you're a professional submissive or a dominatrix, whether you're a bookkeeper, a computer programmer, whether you're whatever, everyone makes mistakes. So what would you say one of your mistakes are that you first made when starting out?
Oh, I'm definitely still making mistakes. Like just yesterday, I went to go book a room, and then was like, I knew which room I wanted, but I said the wrong name, and then I walked back there, and I was like, that's the wrong room. I gotta go fix that. And then I went back and I had to fix it, and then I did it again 20 minutes later, and I just kept mixing up all the room names. I don't know what it is or why that's so hard for me, but I'm not good with locations.
Now, when it comes to being submissive, were you always submissive, or was this something that it evolved into being? Did you evolve into being submissive?
I was actually mostly dominant for like a majority of my BDSM career. It wasn't until I started transitioning that I started opening myself up to like subbing in any way whatsoever. Um, yeah, it wasn't really until like I like started exploring a more feminine side of myself that I felt comfortable opening myself up to new experiences, whether that was just in regards to societal pressures of having to be a boy or whatever. But subbing has definitely been something that I've only recently been getting into. But even then, I found it's difficult to find a dominant partner that I fit with.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was one, there's a lot of people in the BDSM community, especially in the professional sense, and people take advantage of them. Like, let's just say professional dominatrixes. So a lot of people have this idea that just because you're a sex worker, you want a free session. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they'll be downright mean or arrogant to a dominatrix, so they get a response, and that makes them feel well because they like the abuse. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? As a submissive, though, have people tried to, and you don't have to get into much detail, but have people try to like take advantage of you? Because and I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like being submissive, like you said, you're very caring, nurturing, and it would seem that it would be easier to kind of take advantage, either emotionally, financially, or even session wise. Does that ever happen to you? Do you ever like encounter people trying to do that?
Yeah, like I definitely have like had a session where like we agreed to like specific things like outside of my standard rate. Like it was a niche thing that I was entertaining, and he just kept pushing for like a little bit more, and it was just it was hard to just not just like immediately be like no, and just because what at first it wasn't that much, and then it keeps continuing if you let them have like even an inch, and so it's a small learning process, but you does happen every once in a while.
Okay. So, okay. I got a question here from a guest. Please describe the very first time you were overpowered.
The very first time I was overpowered, I was visiting someone. I was visiting someone last summer, and during COVID, we had both done a 14-day quarantine, make sure we were both safe. Just kind of going stir crazy after being locked up for so long.
Oh God.
Um, and so I went to visit for a couple of days, and I didn't expect it to be as intense as it was, but all my neck was just bruised from bite marks. I physically was not able to step away from the bed, or else they would have grabbed my ankle, arm, whatever, just yanked me back into the bed. I tried and fought with all my might and just could not get away. And honestly, that was pretty top tier.
Really interesting. Now, when something like that happens, being a submissive and enjoying being submissive, when something like that happens, this is going to sound strange.
Comments you I've heard worse.
Yeah, yeah. But when something like that happens, I mean, is there a sense of enjoyment that comes from that sometimes, or is it just automatic?
Absolutely.
Oh, it does?
Absolutely. I enjoy submitting, I enjoy dominating, but it's always best no matter what if I had to fight for it in some way. It just feels better if I'm submitting because I'm physically weaker, not as smart, not as strong as the person dominating me, versus I'm dominating another person because I outwitted them, because I am physically stronger than them.
Interesting. I didn't getting off. Okay.
And I think a lot of that comes from like my fox base, though, as I've said before.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll talk about being a fox. I got a special love for foxes, actually. My middle name is Todd, which actually means
Which
fox.
means fox, yeah.
Yeah. So, um, all right. So this is from Tangled Blue, who's a kitten.
Okay.
Speaking of pet play, um, so as if she asks, as a submissive, how do you connect with a client?
How do I connect with a client? The girls at the dungeon have described me to each other as Savannah's the girl that you just tell shit to without thinking and then wonder, why did I do that? I've also heard that I just have a very, when girls meet me for the first time, they say I feel very familiar. And so I think I just have like a very calming aura that people feel comfortable around. People feel like they can talk to me. Hi. Um,
Christian Girl 124 says, "Hi Savannah, you're
I've seen it.
great."
It's cute.
Yeah,
Um,
that's Aaron who booked this. Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. Um, I got sidetracked.
Oh, we were talking about how do you connect with a client?
Oh, yeah. So I don't know. I think it's important that I make it known, whether verbally, whether in my tone, or just the way I carry myself. But I do care about my clients' needs. I care about why they're there. I want them to have a good time. I want to have a good time. It's not a transactional experience. Like I want to get something out of it. I want to learn something. They have something that they want to get out of it. And so I think finding a connection with someone is easy when you're both looking for something along the same line.
I believe I have that same attitude. First of all, people tell me everything. Well, that's one reason I'm doing this show is because people tell me. But just like in personal life, like they tell me stuff about their life that I don't ask to know. But still, I'll be more than happy to listen. You know what I mean? And I have the attitude, whereas I like people, and I always feel that I can learn from them. That's why, like, I grew up in Edison, New Jersey, very diverse. You name it. There's Indian people, Asian people, black people, white people. There's every culture you could think of. Pakistani, people from South America, Cuba, Puerto Rico, you name it. And I look at it, while there are a lot of like racist people, and you know, like I look at it as, oh, you can learn from these people and learn from different cultures. You know what? Just on food alone, you know what I mean? I am not a steak and potatoes guy. I'll take Indian food, I'll take sushi, I'll take, Middle Eastern food any day of the week, as opposed to, and it's all because I think I like to think that I have an open mind. And I love being around people and talking to people, and that adds to the fact where people come to me and feel comfortable with me. All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into
Impact
it.
play.
Huh?
Impact play.
Impact play.
So there's floggers, there's
There are
whips,
flaws.
there's canes, there's riding crops. They're all wonderful. I love them all.
They are.
Do you have a favorite?
Um, my all-time favorite toy that I no longer have because I left it with my ex-boyfriend when we broke up was this sheepskin flogger that had rabbit tails attached to it that were like really thuddy. So if you hit them from a distance, you could get like the slap of the leather. But if you hit them a little bit closer, you would get these nice thuds of like big chunks of rabbit fur. And so
Okay.
that was personally my favorite toy. But having moved up from where I am in the world and from BDSM 3 years ago, um, the toy I'm most interested in like getting practiced with and like being used on me are the dragon tails, with the heavy handles, and then they're made of wound leather rather than just like a bullwhip straight leather, or instead of it being braided. And I don't know, they're just really they're hard to describe off top of hand. But dragon tails are my preferred impact play toy for learning, being hit with, just looking at.
That's why there's Google. That's why there's Google. Do you have any? I know some people have names for their toys, basically, not just their impact play toys, but like their dildos and stuff like that. Do you have any names for them?
I do not, unfortunately. I feel like naming them when they are so prone to disappearing or breaking is just leads to more heartbreak.
Wow. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about Sanctuary. I love Sanctuary, LAX. First of all, how did you get involved with them?
A old friend of mine had mentioned them before, and I had been doing what I do at Sanctuary, not at Sanctuary, just like in strangers' homes, and that was not safe. But once COVID has started to like delineate and I've gotten vaccinated and I found that Sanctuary was open, I started taking the steps towards working there and being more connected to the community as it is. Because I only just moved to Los Angeles last year.
Yeah. And I don't know if any people know about Sanctuary, but it's not just the dungeon, it's like a community.
Oh yeah, no, we have like like this Sunday, I believe they're doing a game night of just bringing your friends, play some games. Like
And on top of that, they actually do like education stuff as well.
They do too. While COVID was going on, they hosted online classes. I actually took one of their pup handling courses in preparation for my partner moving in, who identifies as a puppy.
Okay, and just curious, your partner who's a puppy, what's the puppy's name?
Her name's Sarah.
As a puppy?
Yeah, as a puppy. It's Sera.
That's like Sarah Miles from Peplo.
Like, more like Seraphine.
Yeah, Sarah. No, I love it when it's spelled like that. Okay, when it comes to Sanctuary, there are different pieces of equipment and rooms and tools and stuff like that. First of all, what's the most popular, and what's your personal favorite?
My personal favorite is the Dragon Tails, as I mentioned. And the most popular, I honestly think our floggers are most popular. I think that's just a very standard image when people think of BDSM, and so when they look at our toy room, they're like, "That's something I recognize," and so they pick it up.
It makes you feel comfortable. A flogger makes you feel comfortable.
It makes you feel comfortable in the sense you're like, all right, at least I know how to use this, or I know what this is. If all else fails, I can come back to this.
Definitely. Now, are you the only submissive right now at Sanctuary?
I'm not. No. There's also Apricot. She is a wonderful submissive. She was just there today. We were hanging out. Highly recommend her if you're ever in the area. She's fantastic.
Interesting.
She's actually supposed to help me with my official Sanctuary Switch test tomorrow.
And what does that entail?
That entails me just practicing a dominant session with a submissive with one of our submissives at Sanctuary, while our headmistress overwatches to make sure that I know what I'm doing and that I'm prepared to take on the responsibilities of being a switch.
Yeah, they don't mess around there.
Yeah, which is why I started as a submissive, as I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing from the ground up.
Definitely. Yeah, like they do not mess around. Now, all right, this is going to sound, it's safe to assume, but I just want to ask anyway.
Go for it.
Would you say that a majority of your sessions are you as a submissive? Or no, let me rephrase that. What percentage is submissive and what percentage is you being dominant?
It's very funny that you say that, because so many people will book me and they'll have me come in, and then they'll meet me, and then they'll go, oh, I don't feel like I can dominate you. You're too intimidating. You're too tall. You're too scary. I feel like you're too dominant to dominate. And
really?
so we do what they're looking for, but like I feel like they're doing it like half-heartedly. Like there was one guy, he just like wanted to cuddle with a submissive girl, and we cuddled, we did whatever, but he kept commenting on just how dominant I was the entire time. And I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, guy. Like, you read my bio before you got here. You knew what I looked like. So yeah, almost every single one that I've had has been someone booking me as a submissive and then saying, oh, you're really dominant, and then
all right.
born to dom is, guess what it is? It's just in my DNA.
So it's in your blood.
Exactly.
All right. Now, you consider yourself a trans girl, and these days it could, in the LGBTQ community, it could mean lots of things. I'm friends with many, different people, and they all seem to identify themselves a certain way. So, some identify themselves as, they were born male, but they identify themselves as female, some vice versa. Some are what they call gender fluid, like there's, so how would you identify your gender identity?
I'm a transsexual woman.
Okay.
I was born with male genitalia. I was socialized in a very strict household where I was told that boys did this and girls did that. And I didn't ever really see an alternative to it until I turned 19 and I learned that there were other options. And I started the process of transitioning then. I went back in the closet for a short time because my parents kicked me out. Mm-hmm. And then when I was 22, I had a small breakdown on the winter solstice. And I realized that the brain in my head doesn't sound like, when you think and you hear a voice,
mm-hmm.
That voice doesn't match the voice that's coming out of my mouth. It doesn't match the face I have. And then I was like, that's wrong. That's something we should change. So I went to the doctor and I said, I don't even know if I'm trans. I don't know that I'm a girl. I just think I'd be happier if I had boobs and a vagina. And she was like, that sounds pretty trans to me. Let's get you some hormones.
Interesting. Now, I have a very good, I don't want to get into details of who this person is, but the daughter of somebody who was very close to me, who passed away, was born female.
As a trans person, I don't need to know a trans person's previous identity. You can just tell me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But they're only they just turned 18 years old, and they they feel like they're a transsexual. They are a transsexual without that. They just started hormones. So, but of course, he is now scared, having problems with his family. is going through many emotional things, is on medication, stuff like that. Bordering on suicidal and stuff like that. But very, very young, just really finding out who he is. And
Hmm.
what advice would you give to somebody like that?
Um, that's a lot to undertake. But uh, my mom told me when I told her that I was trans, she told me, "No, you're not." And I let her. I believed it. I let her tell me that. Um, and I held it down for a while, and eventually it boiled over, and it sucked. But I realized that if it came down to it, I had to make the decision of making the choice to be myself or be a part of my family. And I told my mom that, and she told me that that was unfair. Um, but she had a lot of issues with accepting things and working towards it. But it's been 3 years now, and the only people who aren't on fully on board are my mom's husband and his father. Um, People take time. I know it's shitty to say, um, but you are fully within your right to cut those people out of your life if you need to, and that's really hard to say, and that's really hard to accept. But you can't deny yourself who you are for someone else. That's just going to cause you infinitely more pain than the pain of losing someone else. If you lose your biological family because of that, there's always the LGBT community that's welcoming you with open arms.
That's true. And also, I also, some of the advice I gave was surround yourself with positive, supportive people. Um, even if they're not a part of the community, someone who understands, or someone who wants to understand at least. Someone who wants to learn, but someone who's positive and supportive can make all the difference in the world. You know what I mean? You all
We're good.
right?
We're good.
All right, Aaron's got some questions. Were you ever dominated, or have you been dominated by someone with a disability?
Yeah, one of my first dominant partners was a cancer survivor. And while that's not like inherently a disability, I do think that that requires looking at things through a certain light. Like there were often times where we would need like to take breaks just because he was suddenly very fatigued. And one of my current partner has chronic pain, and that requires us to work around that. I don't know if that's the type of disability you're talking about, but those are disabilities in their own right.
No, I totally believe that counts. Like I have health problems myself, so I mean, I could, if it gets worse, I'm gonna have to, you know, ask for disability insurance assistance from the government. Um, so okay, what appeals to your board? All right, yeah, so you have a partner. I'm always, without giving too much information, I'm always curious about on how kinky people meet. So how did you two meet?
We met through Twitter.
Twitter. Okay. And just so everybody knows, what's your Twitter handle?
It's severely sapphic. SEVERLY SAPPHIC.
Did you give that to me in the bio?
I almost certainly did.
Okay.
I
All
will
right.
check right now.
Yeah, that'd be great. Have you ever dominated that? All right, let's talk about foxes.
Let's talk about foxes.
Talk about foxes. What first of all, before you became a fox, did you experiment with other kind of pet play? Like did
Yeah,
you
absolutely, I did.
and what other pets did you know explore being?
I think every trans girl experiments with being a cat girl at some point. That's just a niche right there. Um, but I don't know. Cats felt played out. They felt just not the vibe I was looking for. I am not the standoffish as a cat. Like I have two cats in here somewhere, and none of them are loving on me. But if I open that door, I guarantee you, my dog will run into my lap, and that's a little bit too affectionate for me. I need a middle ground. I need a middle ground of like somewhere standoffish, somewhere affectionate, and that's where I find the fox. They're just that middle ground between a cat, and a dog, with like a
Interesting.
twinge of being wild. Primal play is a big aspect for me.
Okay. So now, please just go. Not going to be any choose live anytime throughout. All right. So do you have a special name for yourself as a fox, or is it
Um,
Savannah?
no, it's just the fox, a fox. I've never had a dominant partner who's been interested in owning or handling like the pet aspect of my life, and so I have never had that opportunity of putting it into a form of ownership. So no, it's just me being a fox when I need to burn some mental energy off.
Okay, but okay, interesting.
Fox.
Now, what are some? I mean, in pet play, um, it, it seems to be a very social aspect of the BDSM community. Like,
It is.
the kittens, and the horses and the puppies, and even the foxes. Which I have to admit, the foxes is one of the most unique ones I've talked to in the past compared to dogs and cats and stuff like that. Just like regular life, you know what I mean? Everyone seems to have a dog or a cat. Not everybody has a fox.
Exactly.
Uh, so
I like to be
what
special.
what are some interesting pets that you've seen or that you've encountered?
I think the most unique was I met someone whose pet space was a goat.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the most unique to me.
Interesting. That's a new one too.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was definitely interesting. I was like, okay, like not I understand pigs, I understand cowgirls, but a goat, like yeah, that's the one you're gonna go with. Okay, dokie.
I
That's
was thinking I was thinking of sloths. I have a love for sloths. Yeah.
a sloth girl would be cute.
Sloth, yeah, or maybe an otter, but like definitely a sloth.
I
Do
know the gay male community have otters already.
they?
Yeah,
I'm,
that's what you call a small hairy guy.
I wasn't. Oh, as opposed to bear, which is a big hairy guy.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know. I did not know that. See, this is an educational show.
And if
Um.
he's small and he works out, he's small, he works out and he's hairless, he's a twunk.
Oh, the sweet. I'm a punk too. Um. All right. This is non-kink related, and
Not kink related.
yeah, I do a bunch of the next couple questions are going to be non-kink related.
Okay.
If you could choose, all right,
Okay.
any time in history, any part of history since the beginning of the planet. Now, this could be Renaissance Florence. This could be the Civil War. This could be, um, you name it. But you'd have to live there and stay there. What what period would you choose?
I think that I would choose like if I had to live. Okay, hang on. Hmm. Live and stay there. guess like the logical answer is like somewhere in the 30s, like just after like the Great Depression, and just use all the knowledge I have of how America built itself back up on its feet and use that to my advantage, and use that to just dismantle what America will become. Because we are a shit show
That's
right
an interesting answer. That's a really good
now.
answer.
Like, the country's in shambles. It's the perfect time to change everything.
That's a really astute answer. Okay. Rapid fire recommendations, and they don't have to be kink related.
Okay.
Okay. Recommend a film.
SLC Punk.
SLC Punk. That's one of my favorites. That really captures the attitude that I had. Well, not the attitude, you know, or it captures the atmosphere and the vibe of growing up for me, at least. You know what I mean? Just the attitudes of the people, the dress, the music, going to shows. I wrote a book called Chip Black Nail Polish, which is all about me just getting into the punk scene as a teenager and going to my first hardcore shows and going to, like, I'm talking like independent shows that are like at VFW halls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. SLC, did you see the sequel?
Yeah, of course.
What'd you think of the sequel?
I honestly really liked it, mostly because I thought it did a really good job of introducing MGK's like ability to act, and I thought it did a good job of showing what it's like to be a punk now. Like it's kind of dull, it's kind of dead. It's the real punks are the crust punks, unfortunately. Like the real punks are the people who truly don't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, you know, there's a band that plays in that movie called Dog Party, and yeah, The World Is Not a Game is a song. That's a great song. Oh, what's the name of your kitty?
Oh, that is June.
June. Okay. June the kitty. Okay. Recommend a book.
Detransition Baby.
Okay, what's that about? I have an idea of what it's about, but I've never heard it.
It's a book about 3 women who try to raise a baby together.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Recommend now, before you answer, recommend a work of art, and this could be something famous, something well known. It could be something totally unknown. It could be any medium. It could be painting. It could be drawing. It could be performance art. So recommend a piece of art.
Give me a second to get the exact name of it, but I know exactly what I want to say.
Okay, take your time.
All right, I'm zooming in. What do they call this? It's James Turrell's Sky Space Heir Apparent.
I gotta check that out.
It's an art installation by my college that uses refractory mirrors to reflect the sunset above you and reflect it directly down into a room. And I went to school in Arizona, which is like everyone knows Arizona has the best sunsets in the country. And so it's this room that constantly shifts colors as the whatever is like the sky directly above you is, and then all the colors in this room shift with it. It's really pretty.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, all right. We did a book. Recommend a television show.
Like a television show, or like could it be anime? Because I like Hunter x Hunter more than anything else.
Of course, it could be anime. It could be just as long as it's not an actual movie.
Hunter x Hunter.
Hunter x Hunter. And what's that about? Never heard of it.
It's about a kid who goes on a quest to find his dad, and it just really spirals from there.
Interesting. Because I love, well, I love like animation for adults, like Rick and Morty and Adult Swim.
Okay. On that line, then you might like Invincible.
Okay, I'll check that out too.
Invincible was good. I really like that. My partner and I just finished that last night. I watched it for the second time.
Nice. Ever since I've been locked into the pandemic, I've been watching a lot of animated stuff.
I get that.
So I don't know what it is about animation as opposed to just like a typical movie, but maybe it's the things you could do with animation and the creativity with animation. Maybe that's what makes a difference. But I've been watching. Yeah. All right. Recommend a meal.
A meal.
Yeah.
My favorite breakfast is something my grandmother makes, where she takes a standard bagel and she puts butter over it, and then she sears the bagel on the butter, and then makes a bagel with cream cheese. And I know that's not a whole meal, but that is a staple in my diet that I have at least 2 of those a week. Like nothing better for breakfast than a seared buttered bagel.
Interesting. Okay. I gotta try that one day. All right, this is the 3-word game. Okay. And we're finishing up now because I don't want to take up your time. Because one main rule is you don't waste the dom's time, and you certainly don't waste the submissive's time either.
Thank you.
So the 3-word game. Before you do anything, pick a letter anywhere from A to Z. Doesn't matter which one. Okay. Think of 3 things that you love. One of them has to be kink related. The other 2 don't.
Okay.
All right.
Do I have to say that?
Yes.
Okay. Leather, limes, and lemurs.
I've been getting into limes because I've been doing a lot of cooking. And lemurs are adorable with the eyes. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. Submissive Savannah, you have been absolutely amazing. Please stay on the line because I'd like to talk to you just real quick. I won't take up much of your time. And check out, everybody check out Savannah LAX, check out her Twitter. All the links would be on Savannah's page. And yeah, great guest. So take this time now to promote anything and everything you want to promote. It doesn't have to be kink related either.
Yeah, you can just find all of my links at beacons.ai/severely sapphic. You can find my ManyVids, my OnlyFans, scheduling if you want to do photo shoots. If you want to go on a date, shoot me an email. I'm a pretty open gal. I got lots going on.
Okay. All right. That's great. And all right. So this is Nicholas Tanek, Your Kinky Friends. Go to yourkinkyfriends.com. I'm on Twitter at Nicholas Tanek. The whole crew is at Friends Kinky. We're on FetLife at Your Kinky Friends, no spaces. I'm on Facebook, believe it or not, and at Nicholas Tanek. We have a special group called YKF. That's secret. No one's going to know you're in it. We have a Discord. Yes, we have a Discord chat group. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/YKF. And I don't know. We got some stuff. We got plans. We got a lot of plans. And Submissive Savannah, I would love for you to be a part of these plans. And I think you'd have a lot of fun doing it. A lot of fun being involved.
Keep me in the loop.
I definitely will. I definitely will. So, oh my God, it's getting late, my friends. My dom is calling me. And remember the cardinal rule. Be cool, be kind, and keep an open mind. Take care, everybody.
Bye.